The smell inside the car is leather and medicine, not the sharp scent of a hospital. Softer, sweet, almost hidden beneath aftershave and Texas sunlight. He is smiling. Inside that open limousine sits the most powerful man in the world. Cameras see confidence. The crowd sees youth. They see a war hero waving calmly beneath a bright sky. But beneath the suit jacket, hidden from every photograph, his spine is locked inside a rigid brace, steel and fabric. Holding him upright like scaffolding holds a collapsing cathedral. How can a president be too sick to stand, yet strong enough to lead a superpower? Power is theater. John Fitzgerald Kennedy understands this better than anyone alive. A leader in the Cold War cannot look fragile. Fear travels faster than rockets, so he chooses visibility. He had been warned about Dallas. Threat reports existed. Security concerns existed. Advisors suggested protection. He refused the shield. No glass canopy, no enclosure. The people must see their president. Behind the limousine, a Secret Service agent steps onto the rear platform, close enough to touch his shoulder, close enough to become a human wall between the president and danger. For a moment, protection exists. Then a small gesture. Supervisor Emery Roberts raises his hand and motions the agent back. The agent hesitates, then obeys. He steps off the rear of the car. The distance opens, a car length, then another half. 3 seconds of space between protection and mortality. The motorcade turns onto Elm Street. The car slows. The crowd leans forward. Applause fills the air like warm static. Kennedy lifts his arm again. His posture, perfectly straight because the brace will not allow him to bend. Without it, he would lean forward. Without it, he would look tired. Without it, he might move. A sharp crack cuts through the cheering. Many think it is a motorcycle. The sound echoes beneath the overpass. Kennedy's hands rise to his throat. His face shows confusion more than pain, as if the world has suddenly spoken a language he cannot understand. He does not fall. He cannot fall. The brace holds him upright, facing forward, head steady. Another crack. The Secret Service agent runs now, sprinting toward the limousine he had been ordered to leave. He is fast, but distance is faster. 3 seconds cannot be outrun. He reaches the car and climbs onto the trunk, shielding a man already beyond protection. The limousine accelerates. Sirens erupt. Applause collapses into screams. People freeze. Others run toward the sound, as though closeness could undo reality. They said he was young. They said he was unstoppable. They said the future had arrived early, but the future had been stitched together with cortisone and courage. If part 1 was the moment the marble cracked, then part 2 is what was hiding inside the stone. Because the bullet did not begin the tragedy. The body did, long before Dallas, long before the cheers and the sunlight. There was a hospital room, white sheets, the smell of antiseptic, a young naval officer recovering from war injuries that never truly healed. His spine had been damaged in the Pacific. A heroic story, yes, but heroism leaves residue, pain that lingers, pain that whispers at dawn. By the time he entered the White House, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was not a symbol. He was a patient. Addison's disease, a failure of the adrenal glands. Without medication, the body collapses, blood pressure drops, energy disappears. Death can come quietly. The public did not know. They saw tan skin and perfect hair. They saw touch football games on the lawn. They saw vitality. They did not see the daily cocktail of hydrocortisone, the procaine injections, the anti-spasmodic pills, the amphetamines administered by Dr. Max Jacobson, the man journalists later nicknamed Dr. Feelgood. The presidency runs on briefings and strategy. His ran on chemistry. There were mornings when he could not bend forward without help. Mornings when aides would assist him with his shoes. Mornings when the weight of the crown felt heavier than the steel brace beneath his shirt. And yet, he never allowed the cameras to linger. He understood something brutal about power. The world does not forgive weakness in its protectors, so he performed strength. In meetings with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, he projected control. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, he appeared calm, calculating, almost serene. But serenity is often rehearsed. Behind closed doors, pain management was constant. Dr. Janet Travel monitored his medications carefully, adjusting doses to balance survival with clarity. Too little, he collapses. Too much, he glides. Leadership balanced on milligrams. There is a loneliness in that, to carry nuclear codes in one hand, and a medical file thick with vulnerabilities in the other. To know that if the public saw the truth, confidence might fracture. Camelot was not built on lies. It was built on concealment, and concealment is exhausting. Imagine standing before the nation, delivering speeches about courage and destiny, while your own body negotiates surrender each morning. Imagine knowing that without modern steroids, your presidency might last months. He did not. He remained upright, steady, exposed. The device designed to preserve dignity, preserved stillness. There's no villain in that fabric and steel. Only irony. A man fighting his own biology every day, winning mostly, outmaneuvering illness with science and willpower, believing he could manage risk the way he managed crises. But the body is not a nation. It does not respond to speeches. It responds to gravity, and gravity was denied. The cameras captured a president smiling into history. They did not capture the exhaustion behind the smile. They did not record the quiet fear of adrenal collapse. They did not film the injections before state dinners. They captured the surface. And surfaces are dangerous, because when the surface finally breaks, the shock feels supernatural. It was not supernatural. It was human. A leader held together by medicine. A myth supported by metal. A body negotiating survival while projecting invincibility. The tragedy of John Fitzgerald Kennedy is not that he was weak. It is that he refused to appear weak. And in that refusal, he aligned himself once more with visibility over protection. The crown was heavy, but he never let it tilt. There is a strange stillness in history, right before irony reveals itself. Not the stillness of peace, the stillness of alignment. At the very hour he was waving to crowds in Texas, conversations were moving quietly through back channels, messages passing between intermediaries, signals toward Havana. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was attempting something almost unthinkable. Peace with Fidel Castro after the humiliation of the Bay of Pigs, after the terror of the Cuban Missile Crisis, after the world held its breath under the threat of nuclear fire. He had begun to reconsider permanent hostility. He had learned something during those 13 days of October. The world can end quickly, and pride can accelerate it. So he softened, carefully, secretly, not for headlines, not for applause, but for survival.
He authorized exploratory talks.
He allowed journalists to speak in ambiguous tones. He signaled that coexistence might be possible. It was not weakness, it was evolution. And then, in a warehouse in Dallas, a former United States Marine named Lee Harvey Oswald waited. A man who had once defected to the Soviet Union. A man who had publicly supported Castro. A man who had visited the Cuban consulate in Mexico City weeks earlier. The intelligence community knew parts of this story. Cables existed. Surveillance reports existed. Files moved between agencies. But information is not protection unless it arrives where it matters. The Secret Service detail in Dallas did not receive full awareness of Oswald's foreign contacts. Not conspiracy. Fragmentation. The government, like any human body, has nerves that do not always communicate. And so irony completes its circle. The president who was quietly reconsidering confrontation with Cuba was killed by a man who believed he was striking a blow for Cuba. Two men moving in opposite emotional directions, one toward detente, one toward revolution, neither aware of the other's final trajectory. History is rarely poetic, but sometimes it is cruelly symmetrical. Kennedy had stared into the abyss of nuclear war and stepped back. He had resisted generals who urged escalation. He had chosen restraint over retaliation during moments when pride screamed for force. And yet, restraint could not protect him from a rifle in a window. The Cold War did not kill him. A single disaffected man did. But that man existed inside the storm the Cold War created. This is the Star Saloon moment of destiny, the instant where global tension meets personal grievance, where superpowers negotiate, and a solitary figure decides negotiation is betrayal. Kennedy is written. The truth is quieter. Destiny is assembled, piece by piece, by pride, by optimism, by bureaucracy, by youth, by pain. And on that day, all the pieces aligned, not because the universe demanded it, but because humans are imperfect, even presidents, even nations, especially nations. And in that imperfection, the shot found its opening. After the noise fades, history does not end. It echoes. The limousine leaves the plaza. The hospital doors close. The announcement travels across radios like a tremor, and a nation feels something unfamiliar. Vulnerability. For years, John Fitzgerald Kennedy had symbolized forward motion, the new frontier, the idea that youth could govern wisely, that charisma could coexist with calculation. Now the image fractures, not because he was flawless, but because he was human. The bullet did not just end a presidency. It exposed the illusion that strength guarantees safety. In the weeks that followed, commissions formed, reports were written, testimonies recorded. The Warren Commission sought coherence in chaos. The House Select Committee on Assassinations revisited the questions years later. Facts accumulated, but certainty did not. Because when a young leader dies in public, the wound is psychological as much as political. People search for complexity equal to their grief. Sometimes complexity exists. Sometimes the explanation is smaller than the pain. The butterfly effect of that November afternoon stretches far beyond Dallas. Lyndon Baines Johnson takes the oath aboard Air Force One. The Vietnam War escalates. Trust in institutions begins its slow erosion. The 1960s darken. Would those currents have unfolded differently had Kennedy lived? History does not answer hypotheticals. It answers consequences, and the consequence of visibility over caution, of myth over frailty, was a turning point in American confidence. But there is something else, something quieter, the image of a man held upright by a brace, a president sustained by medication, a leader who understood that weakness, if exposed, could destabilize the faith of millions. He was not invincible. He was disciplined. He was ambitious. He was proud. He was afraid of appearing afraid. That is not villainy. That is humanity magnified by power. We often imagine that history turns on grand ideology. Sometimes it turns on posture, on whether an agent steps forward or back, on whether a route includes one more turn, on whether a body can fall or is forced to remain upright. 3 seconds, a brace, a gesture, a slow curve onto Elm Street. These are not epic forces. They are ordinary detail.